So how much should you pay for Form 990 preparation by a professional? So this is going to cover Form 990. There's a separate video for the 990EZ and the 990PF. So of course it depends, especially with the 990, because it is such a large form. You're going from 4 pages of the 990EZ up to 12 pages plus schedules for the Form 990. So a low price range would be $1,200 to $1,600. That would include e-filing, of course, and it assumes you have very clean books and you have all the information that the preparer needs in the form that they need it. A more typical price range would be somewhere between $1,600 and $2,500. That also assumes clean books and no additional accounting work or a lot of sorting and reclassifying. A complex Form 990 with multiple schedules might cost $3,000 to $5,000, or could go even higher in some cases. Of course, a larger firm is going to charge higher fees, and a specialist is going to charge higher fees in many cases. If you have messy accounting records or incomplete accounting records or incorrect accounting records, it could easily double or triple the price of preparing a return, because you can't prepare the return until you have your accounting records in some kind of order that corresponds to the 990 line numbers. If you think you're saving money by not hiring a competent bookkeeper, you're probably not. It could end up actually costing you more than just having your books done when they're supposed to be done. What drives the cost? Well, schedules drive the cost to a large extent. The more schedules that have to be prepared, the higher the cost is going to be. So here's a list. I'm not going to go through all of them, but these are all the schedules that could apply to Form 990. Not every 990 has all of these schedules, but the ones in blue are the ones that are typically part of most 990s. The Schedule A, public support. Schedule B, identification of large donors. Schedule D, supplemental financial statements. If nothing else, if you've got some fixed assets, you're going to have to do a Schedule D. Schedule G, fundraising events. If you have fundraising events or any gaming activities, raffles, that type of thing. And Schedule O, an explanatory statement. So those are the most common ones, and those are often included to a point. Once they become more complicated, it could add to the price. What other factors? As we discussed, poorly maintained or no accounting records, failure to reconcile your bank and credit card accounts to the bank, failure to maintain donor information, detailed donor information. If the preparer says, hey, give me a list of all the donors that gave more than $5,000 in the year that covers the return, you have to be able to do that. How many donors gave more than $12,500 over the last 5 years? You have to be able to come up with that information, the name of each donor, and the total amount they've given. If you have a lot of misclassifications in your accounting records, if you're using Excel, if you've outgrown it and your Excel worksheets have become really complicated, that can add to your price. And of course, if you have a poorly designed chart of accounts, in other words, it makes it difficult for the preparer to match expenses with certain types of income. So for instance, if you have a special event, you want to be able to match the expenses that correspond to that event, and your chart of accounts needs to accommodate that. If you take too long to respond to questions, that adds to the cost. If you wait until the last minute to provide your preparer with all the information, that adds to the cost. If you have a lot of fixed assets that have to be added to the depreciation schedule, if you have unusual or complex transactions that require research, that definitely could add to the cost. And if you have foreign activities or grants, or if you award a lot of grants or awards to domestic recipients, that can also add, because you're looking at Schedule F and Schedule I there. Talking about research, you want to make sure that your preparer has the resources that they need to do research on complicated topics. So, just for instance, I'll share with you just two of my, resources. This is about $600. Comes out with a new edition every year. Um, this one, this is about $1,500. Can answer most questions. I have a lot more. I have a whole bookshelf of resources that I can consult. Not everybody has that. How about discounted fees? This is something that a lot of nonprofits are looking for. And pro bono means they do it for free or very low fees. I would consider anything below $1,200 to be very low for a full Form 990. Your preparer is not making any money if they're charging that low for a full Form 990. Okay. And that may suggest they don't have a lot of experience with the nonprofit returns, so they don't know how to price the engagement. Or, they may just be willing to take a loss to help you out. And if they have nonprofit experience, that's okay. Just be careful, because a lot of CPAs I encounter, they're trying to do something good for an organization. They take on the job. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it for free, or we'll do it for $500 or $1,000. And when they start actually working on it, they realize, holy smokes, this is a lot more involved than I thought it was going to be. And it doesn't usually lead to the best results. Expectations from pro bono or low fee preparers: you should be receiving the same level of service that they give to their paying clients. Okay. They need to have the proper experience to do the job, not just that they prepare 2 or 3 990s every year. Okay. Preparers should take the same advisory role as they do with paying clients. In other words, they should be advising you on your chart of accounts, on how you handle certain things, on what might be taxable, what you should watch out for. They should be looking at last year's return if somebody else prepared it and say, we need to improve this or that, or something like that, right? Good set of eyes, experienced eyes on the prior year return can really improve the current year return. Don't let them hand off your work to new hires that don't have experience. Don't let them wait until the last minute. And don't let them introduce delays into the process because they're working on paid clients. All right, I hope that's helpful to you.